If your home has been feeling heavy lately, it's not just in your head. You organize, you clean, you do everything right, and still, the peace doesn't stay. One thing gets better and something else gets stuck. A rabbi once taught me an old simple gesture, done in the most private part of the home, that corner almost no one ever looks at. In 30 seconds, I'm going to show you exactly where that place is, and why that's where envy quietly clings on without you noticing. And when you do it the right way, you can feel it the same day. The house starts to breathe differently, like the weight lifts. And listen closely. It's not an accident that this video showed up for you today. Some people live this and ignore it. Others are ready to close the door. But there's one mistake that 90% of people make, and then nothing changes. I'm going to warn you ahead of time so you don't lose the effect. If you want to stop this today, comment, "I closed the door today." I'll read it and respond. And subscribe now. This is a community of women looking for peace, protection, and order, with tradition and meaning without extremes. You don't have to believe everything I say right away. I understand that. But I do need you to listen calmly for a few minutes, because what I'm about to show you isn't a trend, and it's not an exaggeration. I learned this from an older rabbi, the kind who speaks very little and observes a lot. And he told me something I never forgot. There are places in a home that seem small, but they control the entire atmosphere. And when he talked about the most private part of the house, he wasn't talking about luxury or size. He meant that spot almost no one notices, the one that runs on autopilot, and precisely because of that becomes a passageway for heaviness, discomfort, the visit that comes in and leaves with your peace, the conversation that goes sideways, the sleep that never quite settles. Now let me be very clear, this is a symbolic educational practice, inspired by old traditions and values. It's not a promise of miracles. It's a way to place boundaries, intention, and order where things may currently be open and vulnerable. And if any part of this has already touched you, do one simple thing: subscribe to the channel. Because this space is for women who want peace at home, emotional protection, and a more grounded life, without drama, with sincerity. Now I'm going to show you very simply where this place is and why it works like an invisible door. Here's the part you've been waiting for, where this most private part of the home actually is, and what this thing is. When I say the most private part of the home, I'm not talking about the bedroom or the bathroom. I'm talking about the most overlooked place, and at the same time the most powerful one, your entrance. And not the pretty entrance you tidy up when guests come over. I mean the place almost no one looks at, behind the front door, right in the corner where the door rests when it opens, that spot you rarely clean with real attention. That space works like the center point of the home. People come in through it, news comes in, looks come in, energy comes in. And whether you believe in that or not, one thing is certain: that spot changes the atmosphere of the house. Now the thing itself is simple, really simple. You're going to use something that exists in almost every home, a small amount of salt. Relax. This is not about making a mess or turning anything into superstition. Think of it as a symbolic gesture of boundaries, protection, and order, a physical reminder that your home has a limit. Here's the quick version, in 3 steps. First, choose your main door, the one you use most, or the one guests enter through. Second, do a quick intentional clean there, even if it's just wiping or sweeping that corner behind the door. No rush, like you're closing a window. Third, take a pinch of salt and place it on a small piece of paper or a tiny dish and leave it behind the door in the most discreet corner, where no one touches it and no one sees it. And now comes the short phrase that gives direction to the gesture. You say it calmly, just once. Only what is good enters here. Everything else stays outside. That's it, nothing more. In a moment, I'm going to teach you the full way to do this, the right timing, and what to do afterward. But before that, I need to explain why this place works and what almost everyone does wrong, without realizing it, that ends up reopening the door. Now I'm going to explain why this works, and I'll do it in a way that doesn't require you to believe in everything, just to understand. A home isn't just walls and a roof. A home is where we let our guard down, and when we let our guard down, everything we carry inside shows up more clearly. Worry, fear, exhaustion, irritation, sadness, but also peace, love, and hope. That's why, when the atmosphere feels heavy, you feel it in your body. And women tend to feel it faster because they notice details. The mood, the silence, a look that feels off. The entrance of a home is a powerful symbol for a simple reason. It's the yes and the no. It's the boundary. It's where the outside world touches your inner life. And here's something almost no one notices. When you don't take care of the boundary turns into chaos. You don't need to believe in mystical energy for this to be real. Just pay attention. People come in carrying problems, awkward conversations enter, comparison sneaks in, bad news walks right through the door, and if there's no break, it spreads. Salt, on the other hand, is an ancient symbol of preservation and protection. It's simple, it's inexpensive, and that's exactly why it's powerful as a gesture. It represents this decision. I choose what stays and what leaves. From a psychological standpoint, that's huge. Because when you're tired, anxious, when life feels blocked, what hurts the most is the feeling that you've lost control. A small clear gesture sends your brain a different message. I'm in charge of my home, and there's more. When you do something like this with intention, you change your behavior without realizing it. You start paying closer attention to who comes in, what you allow. You become more aware of what drains you. You protect your rest, and over time, that changes the real atmosphere of your home. But now I need to warn you very directly. There's one mistake that cancels everything out. And it's not a lack of faith, it's a lack of consistency. It's when you do the gesture for 1 minute, and then spend the rest of the week with the door wide open to what harms you. Toxic comments, people who come in complaining about everything, gossip inside the home, arguments that become routine, and especially the habit of speaking badly about your own life. The habit of repeating, "Nothing ever works out for me." Because words are also an entrance. Words are an invitation. So before I teach you the full step-by-step, I want you to remember one simple sentence. Protection is not fear. Protection is boundaries. And boundaries aren't about fighting the world. They're about choosing what you allow into your heart and into your home. In a moment, I'm going to tell you a short story. Because it was a story like this that helped me truly understand why this practice affects us so deeply. And at the end of that story, I'll show you the complete method without rushing the right way. If you're still with me so far, comment just one word: boundary. Let me tell you something that took me years to admit. There was a time when, from the outside, everything looked normal. I worked. I handled my responsibilities. I even smiled. But inside my home, there was a weight. Not a dramatic, movie-style weight. A quiet one. A tiredness that never fully went away. An irritation with no clear reason, like the air was always a little too tight, and I noticed it in small things. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You go to bed, but sleep doesn't settle. You wake up in the middle of the night, and your thoughts start racing on their own. You walk into your home, and instead of feeling relief, you want to disappear for a few minutes. And the worst part? You start thinking the problem is you, that you're too much, too sensitive, always complaining, and you're not. One of those weeks, I remember opening my front door and feeling something strange, like I was already tired before even stepping inside. I stopped there, my hand on the doorknob, and thought, how is this possible? My home is supposed to protect me. It's supposed to be my refuge. And it wasn't. That was when I met that rabbi. A simple man, steady eyes, not someone who spoke to impress. He spoke like someone who had seen a lot inside families, inside homes, inside people. I told him the best way I could. I feel like things get stuck, like peace disappears, like something invisible is draining me. He didn't laugh. He didn't dismiss it. He simply said, then you'll start with the boundary. And when he said boundary, I understood he wasn't talking about fighting anyone. He was talking about closing the door to what doesn't belong to me. He asked me, do you take care of your front door the same way you take care of the rest of your home? I said yes, of course, but the truth was, I didn't. I did the bare minimum. I cleaned when I had time. I left it on autopilot. And he said, that's exactly where it is. That night I did it the simple way. I cleaned that small corner behind the door, slowly. I placed the salt discreetly. And I said the phrase firmly, without anger, only what is good enters here. Everything else stays outside. I didn't see lightning. I didn't feel anything dramatic. I felt something else, a different kind of silence. Like the house became more organized on the inside. And I'll be honest with you, the first time, the biggest change wasn't in the house, it was in me. I started entering and leaving with more awareness. I started noticing who came in already carrying problems, and I stopped making space for conversations that drain you, for complaints that turn into routine, for that constant energy of comparison. And over time, what once felt heavy began to feel like relief. I slept better. There were fewer arguments. And I realized something important. A lot of what I used to call bad luck was, in reality, a lack of boundaries. I'm telling you this because I know, on some level, you felt this too. That's why now I'm going to teach you the full step-by-step, the right way to do it, so you can do it today without exaggeration, without fear, and without making the mistake that cancels everything out. If you want to learn this with me until the end, comment, "I deserve peace." Now I'm going to teach you the full process. Very simple, very direct, and with the seriousness this kind of gesture deserves. Remember, this is not something you do out of fear. You do it with intention and with calm. First, choose the right door. It doesn't have to be the prettiest door in your home. Choose your main door, the one you use most often, the one that leads to the street, the hallway, the yard, or the one guests usually enter through. If you live in an apartment, it's your apartment's front door. If you live in a house, it's the door that separates your inside life from the outside world. Second, choose the moment. The best moment is when the house is calmer. It can be at the end of the day, early in the morning, or any time you're not rushing. There's no magic hour. What matters is that you are present. If you do this in a hurry, your own energy gets scattered, and the gesture becomes empty. Third, do a simple, intentional cleaning. And here's an important request. Don't clean like you're just wiping something down. Clean like you are actually closing a door. Look behind the door, that corner where the door rests when it opens. The spot almost no one notices. If there's dust, hair, or built-up dirt, clean it. If possible, sweep and wipe it down. And while you clean, you don't need to say anything complicated. Just think, I'm putting things in order. Order is a form of protection. Fourth, prepare what you'll use. You'll need a small amount of salt. Regular table salt is fine. If you have coarse salt, that works too. No need to overdo it. A pinch is enough. To place it, you can use a small piece of paper, a tiny dish, or a discreet container. The idea is for it to stay clean, organized, and unobtrusive. Important note, if you have small children or pets, place it somewhere completely out of reach. Protecting your home also means practical care. Fifth, put it in the right place. Now yes, this matters. Place the salt behind the door, in the most discreet corner possible, preferably on the inside where no one sees it and no one touches it. Be careful. Don't put it in the walkway, don't block the door, don't leave it where it can fall and make a mess. Discreet, clean, stable. Sixth, say the short phrase, "This is the heart of the gesture." No need to raise your voice, no need to dramatize. Just say it firmly, like a woman who understands that peace is not begged for. Peace is built. Say it once. Only what is good enters here. Everything else stays outside. And if you want to reinforce it, you can add, "My home is a place of peace." That's it. Simple, direct, enough. Seventh, close the door and breathe. Close the door slowly. Take 2 deep breaths and notice what happens inside you. Because very often the first change is internal, the feeling that you are taking control, and that alone already changes how you live in that space. Eighth, what to do next and how long to leave it. You can leave the salt there for 7 days, 1 full week. During that week, here's all I ask you to do. Every time you enter or leave, for just 1 second, remember the phrase. You don't need to say it out loud every time, just remember it. That creates consistency. That creates boundaries. At the end of 7 days, remove the salt and discard it, and this is important. Don't reuse it. Wrap it in the paper and throw it away in the trash, preferably outside your home. No fear, no disgust, no drama. It's simply a closing gesture. This has done its job, and it's done. If you want, you can repeat it for another week. Some women like to do it for 3 weeks in a row to reinforce the habit of boundaries and order. But I'll be honest with you, more important than repeating it many times is doing it well and staying consistent in daily life. And now I'll give you the point that separates those who feel a change from those who don't. What you do with your words and your thoughts after this. Because if you close the door on the outside, but keep it open on the inside with negative language and people who drain you, you undo the work. In the next part, I'll show you the mistakes that cancel everything out. including a very common one that seems small, but is exactly what allows envy to come back. If you want to learn this without messing it up, comment now. I'll do it the right way. Now pay close attention, because this part is what saves people from doing everything right, and still saying later, it didn't work. Mistake number 1, the most common one, doing it in a rush, with doubt. When you do this quickly, your mind scattered in 1,000 directions, you turn a boundary-setting gesture into an automatic habit, and anything done on autopilot loses its power. Not because the universe doesn't allow it, but because you're not fully taking charge. The house feels it, and so do you. Mistake number 2, and this one cancels everything, putting it in the wrong spot. A lot of people place it near the entrance, yes, but just anywhere, where it's visible, where someone touches it, where it falls on the floor, where it becomes clutter. And let me say this very simply. What's messy becomes an invitation. If it's exposed, people ask about it. They touch it. They move it. And you lose the meaning of discretion and quiet boundaries. The right place is that hidden corner where the door rests when it opens, all the way behind, discreet, stable, with no chance of falling. If you put it where it can be seen, you become hostage to other people's opinions and interference, and that doesn't serve our purpose. Mistake number 3, the most dangerous one, closing the door on the outside and opening it on the inside. It's doing the gesture, and then continuing to feed inside your home, constant complaining, conversations that focus only on negativity, people who show up just to criticize, and especially phrases like, "Nothing ever works out for me." I'm not judging you, I'm warning you. Because words carry weight, words shape the atmosphere, words become routine. So here's a simple rule, from a wise woman to another. If a conversation steals your peace, it doesn't come in. Not through the door, not through the phone, not through your mind. By doing this, you're not fighting anyone, you're protecting what's yours. In the next part, I'm going to tell you the story of a woman in her early 50s whose home felt heavy and whose life felt stuck, and how she changed the atmosphere of her home with this gesture and one adjustment almost no one makes. If you're still with me, comment. Peace is the rule. Let me tell you about a woman who could be your neighbor, your sister, or even you. She was in her early 50s, a home-centered woman, routine-driven, the kind who holds the family together. She did everything. Handled the bills, kept track of what was in the fridge, watched the grandkids when needed, took care of everyone. And at the end of the day, do you know what was left for her? Almost nothing. And what hurt the most wasn't the work. It was the feeling that the house never rested. She described it to me like this. I walk in, and I already feel tired. There's irritation in the air, and anything turns into an argument. At first, she thought it was a phase, her age, stress. But there was one detail she couldn't ignore. She noticed the heaviness increased after certain visits, after certain conversations, after hearing bad news, and especially after sharing too much of her life with people who didn't need to know everything. So I asked her one simple question. How's your entryway? She said, normal. I clean it when I have time. And we both know, when I have time, usually means without intention. I asked her to do exactly what I taught you. Start with the boundary. Not because someone was against her, but because in real life, there are people who look with envy, people who love to comment, people who can't stand seeing a woman at peace. And sometimes it's not even malice, it's just people carrying heavy lives and unloading that weight onto you. She did it. She cleaned that small corner behind the door. She placed the salt discreetly. And she said the phrase firmly, only what is good enters here. Everything else stays outside. And here's what she told me afterward, because this is what matters. It wasn't a dramatic miracle. It was a shift in atmosphere. First, she slept better. Not perfectly, but better. Second, she realized something she had ignored for years. She was opening the door to everyone, and with them came opinions, demands, comparisons, criticism. People who didn't pay a single bill but wanted control over her mood. And then came the adjustment almost no one makes, the one that changes everything. She made a simple promise to herself. She said, I'm not sharing my plans with people who don't celebrate with me. That's wisdom, that's protection. She also created a golden rule. Before opening the door, she took one breath and remembered the phrase, 1 second, just 1 second. And do you know what that changed? She stopped welcoming people on impulse. She stopped accepting visits at the wrong time. She stopped letting people come in just to complain. She started choosing. And when you choose, your home changes, because your home is an extension of your boundaries. 1 week later, she told me, the house feels lighter, and I realized it wasn't just the house. It was me. I was tired of being good to everyone and abandoning myself. That hit me deeply, because I know how many women live like that. You give, you fix, you hold everything together, you endure. And when you ask for peace, it feels selfish. It's not. Peace is a necessity. So here's what I want you to remember from this story. The salt is a symbol. The door is a symbol. But the real change happens when this turns into behavior. Less oversharing, stronger boundaries, more silence where you used to over-explain. In the next part, I'm going to give you something very practical. 5 clear signs that negativity, criticism, and heavy energy are finding a way in. And for each sign, a simple adjustment that fixes it. If this story spoke to you, comment, I choose peace. Now let's do something very practical together. I'm going to give you 5 signs. Listen honestly, without fear, without paranoia. This is not about seeing problems everywhere. It's about noticing where your home may have an open door. Sign number 1. You come home and don't feel relief. Instead of relaxing, you feel tight, rushed, irritated. Adjustment. Take care of the entryway for 7 days. And add one simple rule. Before opening the door, take 1 breath and remind yourself, I choose peace. It takes 1 second, but that second changes your attitude. Sign number 2. Conversations at home are always on edge. Everything turns into an argument, or no one talks, but the tension is thick. Adjustment. Choose 1 sentence to break the cycle. Just 1. When voices start rising, say calmly, let's talk about this later when we're calmer. That's emotional protection, that's leadership. Sign number 3. After certain visits, everything falls apart. You feel drained. The house feels heavy. The day feels broken. Adjustment. Less exposure, more silence. And a simple rule. A good visit is one that respects your peace. If someone shows up only to criticize, complain, or drain you, you shorten the visit, reduce the frequency, and that's it. No drama. Sign number 4. You keep losing small things. Keys disappear. Bills are late because you forgot. You forget things you never used to forget. Adjustment. This is usually a tired mind. So do something very simple. Create 1 fixed spot near the entrance for essentials. Order is an antidote to anxiety. Sign number 5. Your energy drops when you talk about your plans. You share, you get excited, and then you freeze. Adjustment. Stop announcing things before they happen. Do more in silence. Protect what's being born. Now I want you to comment, because this helps a lot of women. Which sign happens most for you? Just comment the number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. In the next part, I'll give you a 7-day routine. Short, simple, and realistic, so you can feel your home change, inside and out. If you want this routine, comment, I start today. Now let me give you the 7-day routine. It's simple, it's gentle, it fits real life. It's not meant to exhaust you, it's meant to give you peace back. And before we begin, understand this. The door gesture is the beginning. The real change happens when this becomes a habit. Because closing the door once doesn't help if everything else stays open every day. So let's begin. 7 days, 1 at a time. Day 1, the boundary. Today, do exactly what I taught you. Clean the small corner behind the door, place the salt discreetly, and say the phrase, only what is good enters here. Everything else stays outside. That's it. No exaggeration. Day 2, let the entryway breathe today. Do something small. Make the entryway lighter. Remove what's broken, what's stacked. What feels tight or cluttered? No renovation needed. Just remove the excess. The entryway sets the tone of the home. Day 3, the protective phrase. Today, choose 1 sentence that keeps you from being pulled into draining conversations. When someone starts endless complaining or the conversation turns toxic, say calmly, I understand, but I need peace right now. Let's talk about this later. Simple. Firm. A woman who protects herself doesn't yell. She decides. Day 4. Releasing what holds you back. Today, pick 1 small object that's been sitting there for months, something you keep out of guilt or because maybe one day I'll use it, and let it go. It can be a bag, a piece of clothing, a box. This isn't about the object, it's about the message. I release what weighs me down, out of guilt or because maybe someday I'll use it, and you let it go. It can be a bag, a piece of clothing, a box. This isn't about the object. It's about the message you're sending yourself. I release what weighs me down. Day 5, ethical prosperity. Today, do one small, realistic act of generosity. It can be a kind message to someone, donating something that's still in good condition, helping someone with a few sincere words. Prosperity doesn't grow only from asking. It grows from circulation. Day 6, boundaries with draining people. Today, observe one thing carefully. Who leaves your home feeling lighter, and who leaves you feeling exhausted? Then make one adjustment. Less time, less intimacy, less explaining. This is not conflict. This is protection. Day 7. Sealing the space today, return to the door and do a simple review. Look at the space. Keep it clean. Make sure it stays discreet. And then looking into your home, as someone who has taken the lead, say this final phrase. My home is a place of peace. I protect myself. I choose lightness. Now let me give you one detail that makes this routine even more effective. During these 7 days, every time you feel the urge to complain about life, pause for 1 second and replace it with a wiser sentence. Instead of, nothing ever works out, say, I'm building, one day at a time, because your words are also a doorway. If you do this seriously, you won't just feel your home improve, you'll feel yourself improve, and that changes everything. In the next part, I'll close this video with 2 important points. First, how to maintain this in a healthy, grounded way, without paranoia. Second, I'll leave you with a final loop, the next topic, so you can continue with me. Comment now. 7 days of peace. Now I want to speak with real responsibility, because this matters. What we're doing here is a symbolic and educational practice, inspired by old values of protection, order, boundaries, and intention. This is not about fear. It's not about attacking anyone. It's not about living suspiciously. It's about reclaiming ownership of your space, inside and out, because there's a big difference between protection and paranoia. Paranoia makes you see threats everywhere and steals your peace. Protection sets boundaries with calm and lets you breathe again. If you want to maintain the effect of these 7 days, here are 3 simple habits, the real secret behind any form of protection. Habit 1. Less oversharing. Not everyone needs to know your plans, your income, your struggles, or your wins. A wise woman protects what is still growing. Sometimes silence is your strongest prayer. Habit 2. Clean language. You don't have to pretend everything is fine, but you don't need to repeat words that weaken you. Replace my life is nothing but struggle with I'm building something. Replace no one helps me with I'm organizing myself. Words open doors, and they close them too. Habit 3. Loving boundaries. There are people you love who still drain you, and boundaries are not a lack of love, they are care. You can say no without raising your voice, you can step back without fighting, you can choose peace without guilt. Now I'll make a quick request, because the channel is new and I need your help to reach more women. If this video is helping you, if it's bringing you clarity, subscribe now. That tells YouTube this content deserves to reach more people. And leave a comment, even just one word, because commenting is how you say I'm here. I chose peace. In the next and final part, I'll leave you with one last sentence to repeat tonight before sleep. And I'll tell you which video you need to watch next, because it completes this protection. Comment now. I choose lightness. Before I close, I want you to understand something important. You are not making things up. You are taking care of yourself. And taking care of your home is taking care of your heart, your rest, and your future. If you made it this far, you've already done the hardest part. You made space for change, and that alone is a sign of strength. Now I'm going to leave you with one final sentence, a short sentence for you to repeat tonight before going to sleep, calmly without rushing, like placing a stone exactly where it belongs inside your chest. Say this: I close the doors to what harms me. I make room for peace. I deserve lightness. Say it one more time, in your own way, with honesty. And I want to ask you one last thing. If you've done, or are going to do, the door practice, comment below. I close the door today. I read every comment, and this also helps other women feel less alone. And of course, subscribe to the channel, because in the next video I'll show you something almost no one notices, the small mistake at the entrance of the home that quietly drains prosperity, and how to fix it in just a few minutes without spending money and without extremes. Stay with God, take care of your home, take care of yourself, and remember, peace isn't luck, peace is a decision. And now, if you've made it this far, I'm going to give you a bonus. A simple bonus, quiet, and very powerful, because it works exactly where most women lose energy without realizing it, in how the day ends inside the home. I call this the 3-minute silent seal. You'll do it at night, before bed. The goal isn't magic. The goal is to close the day, so you don't go to sleep with your heart open to worries, envy, harsh words, and racing thoughts. How it works. First, turn down the noise. You don't need to shut down the whole house, but for 3 minutes do your best to be without the TV, without your phone in your hand, without conversation, just you and your home, because peace begins when noise ends. Second, go to the front door. No fear, no drama. Just go there like someone visiting their own boundary. Place your hand on the door, inside or outside, whichever feels more comfortable, and take 2 slow, deep breaths. Third, say one short sentence, and this is the key. Say it softly, almost like a whisper, or only in your mind if you prefer. The sentence is, I close the day in peace. I close my home in peace. Nothing that doesn't belong to me stays with me. Say it slowly, once, with calm confidence. Now comes the most important part, and the one almost no one does. Take 3 steps into the house, just 3, as if you were stepping into your own peace. Then, still in silence, ask yourself one simple question. What am I letting go of right now so I can sleep lightly? It can be a worry, a difficult conversation, an old guilt, a fear. Choose just one thing and say, I release this now. That's it. 3 minutes. Why is this so powerful for our audience? Because women 50+ carry the world. They carry family. They carry the past. They carry bills. They carry memories. And many go to bed with a full mind, as if suffering through thoughts were an obligation. It's not. This sealing teaches the brain a new message. My home is my refuge, my bed is my rest. I don't carry the weight of the world to my pillow. And here's something I want you to notice. When you close the day like this, you begin to wake up differently, more grounded, more self-possessed, more sure of yourself. And that changes your decisions. And decisions change destiny. If you do this bonus tonight, comment below. I sealed my home. I want to see how many women are going to sleep lighter tonight. And if you know a woman who's been tired, anxious, feeling heaviness at home, send this video to her. Sometimes what she needs isn't more strength, it's more peace.